This time, I want to talk about the reality of Chinese society. Recently, when you go to ski resorts in Japan, you see mostly wealthy foreigners, and by wealthy foreigners, I mean mostly Chinese people. This kind of talk has been circulating on social media, and it seems that many people still have the image that Chinese people are rich. However, the truth is, in any country, there are rich people, but they don't necessarily represent the majority. So, it's important to understand how most people in that country are living. Today, I want to talk about what's happening in China now, topics that Chinese people themselves are paying attention to and discussing online. Please take a look at this article. It talks about how in China, 43.53% of married couples get divorced, with the highest rate among those born in the 80s. On this channel, we've discussed several times how China is facing a severe issue of low birth rates and an aging population. However, behind this, there's also an increase in people not getting married, or rather, not being able to get married, leading to fewer couples getting married in the first place. This is a problem even before the issue of low birth rates. Young people need an environment where they can get married. But this discussion isn't just about that. Even among those who get married, nearly half end up divorced at some point. Incidentally, these numbers are significantly higher than those from past decades, which has led to much discussion on why this is happening. There are many articles on this topic, and they mostly point to economic reasons. In the past, marriage in China was thought to lead to happiness, but now, with marriage and childrearing, the economic burden has become too heavy, leading to the notion that marriage equals increased economic burden and decreased happiness, which in turn leads to more divorces. However, while reading this article, I thought that while economic burden might be a reason not to get married, it wouldn't be a reason for those already married to get divorced. Being a fan of traditional Japanese comedy, there's a phrase from Raikugo, "Can't eat one bite but can eat two," meaning the cost of preparing food for one isn't much different from preparing for two, so living together can actually reduce costs. Therefore, if a couple that used to live together gets divorced, the economic burden for each would increase, making the idea that economic burden leads to divorce seem odd to me. So, I believe the real reason must be something else. This topic has attracted a lot of attention in Chinese society, and there are many responses on websites where you can comment. Looking at these, you can get a sense of what might be the real cause. So, first, let me show you this. Among the 10 couples I know, 6 have divorced, leaving 4, but 2 of those are essentially in a marriage of convenience, having bought separate apartments where they hardly return to the original home. This means many marriages are nominal. Out of 10 couples, 6 have divorced, 2 are in a marriage of convenience, and the remaining 2 might be doing well, or perhaps they can't separate because of children, but they might be living like a marriage of convenience in reality. There are comments responding to this, saying it's just the people you associate with, but most comments agree that the majority of marriages are not going well. This suggests that the real reason for divorce isn't economic but rather that many people no longer want to be together emotionally. From here, this is my analysis. In China, for example, on buses or trains, people often try to board while others are still exiting, and they don't queue. At hotel buffets, they pile food on their plates even if they can't finish it. I think this behavior and the failure of marriages might share a common root. You might think it's unrelated, but China has had the one-child policy for a long time, and many children were raised without proper discipline, growing up indulged. So, many lack the awareness that doing something might inconvenience others, leading to behaviors like not queuing or doing things that bother others. When such people marry each other, without considering the other's perspective, conflicts are bound to arise. Of course, there are all kinds of people, and not everyone fits this description. There are indeed Chinese who teach their children to queue, but they are rare, and such parents are often praised as exceptional. Most people have an every man for himself attitude, not caring if their actions inconvenience others. When such people get married, they might get along at first, but over time, they'll find it hard to tolerate each other. Thinking only of oneself, blaming everything on the partner, this leads to an unbearable situation. Therefore, if you leave it to the individuals, the divorce rate will just keep rising. Some opinions suggest not leaving it to personal freedom, like enforcing a law where you can't divorce for 30 years unless there's a significant reason. However, comments on this idea warn that domestic violence or even murder could increase dramatically if such a law were enacted, reflecting another side of Chinese society. The reality is, while some might see Chinese as wealthy and happy, within many households, domestic violence is rampant, and some are on the brink of murder. If you enforce no divorce laws, it might lead to more domestic issues or even deter people from getting married in the first place, as seen in countries like Italy with strong Catholic traditions where marriage is almost irreversible, leading to fewer marriages. Ultimately, to solve this issue, education must change. People need to learn to consider others' perspectives. However, the current generation of parents, having been raised indulgently themselves, might struggle to raise children properly. That's all for today's discussion. I'll see you in the next video.